All right, tonight with just about 30 days to the general election, we want to shed the spotlight on County 003, that is in Kilifi County. We want to look at the politics and the politicians and possible scenarios of the outcomes in that election. Tonight I'm joined by Suria Hersi, who is the national women leader of the Pamoja African Alliance Party, the newest kid on the block in that side of the country, and she will be telling us whether politics in Kilifi is on the cliff. Good evening and welcome to our program, Madam Hersi.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, very many people, when we speak about the PAR party in Kilifi, we saw that when we were having the conventions for parties, that PAR went and joined Jubilee Party. A little later on, we heard that PAR is now in Kenya Kwanza. But when you speak to the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, they say that officially you are still members of the Azimio coalition. So I want to get it from you tonight. Where exactly is PAR, and why did you as a party make the decision to ditch Azimio for Kenya Kwanza?
Thank you very much, and that's a very interesting question. Sincerely, when we started, we had a vision for our party. And we wanted to be where the government is. We wanted to work with the government. And as you're putting it, that when we started it, we joined the Jubilee Alliance, which in totality is Azimio. Along the line, and remember, when you have a political party, you are there for an interest. Politics is a matter of interest. And we needed to find what is the best we can get for our people. Is this the best place for our people so that we can be able to gain what we have not gotten wherever we were before? And then, of course, I think you saw during the launch, there was the issues of signing papers and documents. So I think that's where our problem began. Because apparently we signed documents, but when we really needed to find out what was the content, we could not get the content of the document. And what came out and really scared us was the issue of the zoning. Pamoja African Alliance is originally a coastal party. Party leader is Governor Kingi, the current sitting governor of Kilifi. So Kilifi originally is an ODM zone. And when we were told that we are going to go into zoning, and Kilifi has been perceived as an ODM area, we felt like we were not going to meet our objective. Because we needed to have candidates, we needed to have a platform where we can bargain for our people. So if zoning was going to take place, and Kilifi is branded as an ODM zone, and of course our interest was in the coastal area, and Azimio and PAR has fielded candidates from Lamu to Tana River to Kwale, Taita, and Kilifi and Mombasa. And we know politically coast has been an ODM ground, and we wanted to change that perception. And the reason we wanted to do that is because we wanted to tell our people where we were, we did not benefit. As I mentioned, politics is a matter of interest. So when we went to Azimio, then we discovered the issue of zoning. That is what made us panic and said, now we need to look for a place that we can actually field candidates and sit on the table. And that was the reason why the party came into being anyway, to be on the table so that we can negotiate. So we believe that we follow the legal process. And we got out on time out of Azimio to go to the other side, because we had something on the table. There was an agreement, there was a negotiation, and there's a document that we can always fall back to. So maybe I can tell you politically, is it legally, they say we are in Azimio, and politically we are in Kenya Kwanza. So for us it works well.
All right, let us now get into the mind of the voter, because at the end of the day, it is the people of Kilifi who will wake up and make the decision of the leaders that they want. But when they see instances like this, when their leaders, one day they are in Azimio, the next day they are in Kenya Kwanza, if you speak to the people on the ground, they feel like the Kilifi County leadership, not the Kilifi County as it were, but leaders in Kilifi County are either undecided, or they want to look for a place where their individual interests as politicians will be taken care of, and it is never about the people. What would you tell those people who think and feel that way?
I want to let the voters on the ground to look at voting as their legal and democratic right. And by the end of the day, it is not about the national politics. I keep telling people, sometimes you can even say it doesn't really matter who became the president. What matters is who is the governor, your member of parliament, and your MCA. Because that's where you are going to have issues. That's where your resources are. National politics is all about national. And we will all be part of the national politics by the fact that there's a constitution, we will have representations in parliament. But let's go back to the grassroots. I want to tell our people, it's not about getting confused. It's about getting the best for you people. Where are we going to have the biggest cake? Because by the end of the day, it's about our interest for the people of Kilifi. They have been in ODM for the last 10 years. They have nothing to show for it. You know very well, and I know that Kilifi, in terms of resources, we are doing very well. But there's nothing to show that we are actually improving, even in terms of our of our income, in terms of our poverty rate. And we kept asking ourselves, where did we go wrong? Why? It's because we follow the national politics. It's not helping us. National politics does not put food on the table. And it's unfortunate the leadership is actually very selfish. Because when a political leader comes to you, your member of parliament, and pushes you and forces you to go to join, let's say, ODM, it is about him. It's not about the people. Because when you ask him, what is in it for us? You don't get any feedback out of it. So for me, I would like to urge the voters to look at the MCAs at the grassroots, irrespective of party affiliation. Do they have the interest of their people at heart? For me, that is what matters.
All right, Madam Hersi, but if you say that, then why can't you, as the leadership of the coastal region, unite behind one party, let's say, for example, the PA party, and come with your own candidates, as PA candidates, from the level of governor all the way to MCA? Because what is happening right now, if PA has to be an affiliate of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance, it's still the same as it would have been under the Azimio Alliance. It is never about the interests of the coastal region from the leadership going down. So do you think it's still a zero-sum game if you, as the leadership of PA, as the leadership of which prides itself as the voice of the people of Kilifi, now going into Kenya Kwanza, it is the same as it would have been in ODM?
Let me tell you, when we were going to look for an alliance, we were looking for an alliance that is going to listen to us. It is us who have an agenda for our people. So we have three main agendas in PA, Pamoja African Alliance. One is the issue of land, economy, and inclusivity. And whoever cares to listen, this is what we were telling them. If you are going to take our issues on board, then we are good to go. And I think that is where our negotiation started. Because by the end of the day, we had to look at the issues that we have as coast people. And believe you me, we tried to have one platform, one party. For almost 1.5 years, we've had meetings to discuss, before PA was born, to discuss the issue of having one political party that can drive the agenda of Coast Province. The idea was to bring Shirikisho, Kadwasili, USPK, Communist Party, all the parties that originated from Coast, to come into one coalition so that we can speak with one voice. You can agree with me, the strength in unity. Unfortunately, there was a lot of forces that were pulling us, a lot of interest. And this comes back to the leadership. We had leaders who were very selfish, who were thinking about their positions in their political parties. And if they were going to lose votes by having one party, then they were not going to accept it. So they started pulling from different directions. I want to thank Governor King. He really tried. He really tried. He talked to the governors of Coast Province. He engaged the members of parliament, irrespective of their political parties, to really think that as we are moving to 2022, can we go with one voice so that we can demand and we can get a quota, if not half of the cake that will have been baked.
But if you look at the coastal region, Madam Hersi, we saw other coastal formed parties. We have the Shirikisho, we have the Umoja Summit Party, the Communist Party, the Kadwasili. What then makes the Pamoja African Alliance different, and why shouldn't we be afraid that PA will follow the same footsteps that the Kadwasilis follow, the Shirikisho. They are parties, yeah, they are coastal parties, but they are not really vocal. So what makes PAR different?
I think you can agree with me, Kazungu, our people are not vocal. We have people in leadership. Unfortunately, we are very diplomatic, and diplomacy has never helped us. You can also agree with me, coast people have been in government from 1963. We are discussing about issues of land. You can agree with me, we've had lands ministers from coast from 1963. How come we are still squatters? Why? Because you can have the position, but you don't have the power. And if you're not aggressive, you will stay pretty on your position and achieve nothing by the end of the term. And that is what has happened to our leadership. So it's not like we have not been the government, but we have been the government, but because we want to be nice, we don't want to be controversial, we don't want to touch where you're not supposed to touch. So I think PAR is a bit different in the sense that the other political parties, including PAR, originated from coast, specifically from Kilifi. Maybe in the next question you'll ask me, why don't we have political parties from Lamu, from Tana River? But maybe Kilifi people are aggressive in terms of activism, in terms of democratic rights, and in terms of coming up with political parties. I think PAR party is a bit different. People associate PAR party with Governor Kingi, but the leadership is not even Kilifi. The national chairperson of PAR party is Ibrahim Babangida. He's somebody from Mombasa. We have people from different counties. I am the national women leader. I am originally, I'll be put like I come from northern Kenya because that's where my community is. But I'm born and bred in Kilifi, and I work in Mombasa, and I live in Mombasa. So there's a lot of inclusivity, and we have brought everybody on board in terms of leadership. So we wanted the other people to feel comfortable that this is, because every time we talk about power, they said, Chama cha Kingi, that was the brand, and that was not very nice. It was not working out for us, because politically, the people from Kilifi will now start saying, oh, Governor Kingi has been there for 10 years. So what is he bringing different? He happened to have the idea of having one party in Coast Province. He happened to take the lead. He tried to bring the other governors on board. But because everybody had their interest, you can agree with me, Governor Mvurya has something very good for him in Kenya Kwanza. You go to Governor Joho, he's the deputy party leader of ODM. So they're asking, we are already national parties. What are we going to get in PAR? So they were not looking at the bigger picture. That you can actually be a very small party, but you can still have your room for negotiation if you have your people behind you. So I think PAR is different. The agenda is different. We were negotiating with anybody who will take our agenda on board. So for us, we did not start PAR and say we are going to Azimio. No. We started political party and said, whoever is coming in to have our interest at heart, we will negotiate with them. Because as I repeat, Kazungu, what matters is the leadership at the grassroots. Okay. The leadership in the national level has never put food on the table, unfortunately.
The county leadership, from the level of the MCA.
Of the MCA, that is very important. That is what our interest is.
Now, okay, we have PAR. And PAR is now affiliated with Kenya Kwanza. But we also have ODM, which has the Kilifi County has been perceived to be an ODM stronghold for the longest time, 2013, 2017. So, Madam Hersi, do you think these big parties, which are not from the coastal region, as it were, are playing the divide and rule card? Because we have a section of the votes will go to ODM, a section of the votes will go to Kenya Kwanza Alliance by way of PAR, and as a result, the people of Kilifi and the leadership of Kilifi will still be beggars at the bigger table, because we have decided and agreed to be divided so that they can rule.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. Kilifi people have to really think. I think one thing that we need to do moving forward after 2022 is civic education. We really need to educate our people on the need to have the right leadership. We keep saying political parties are vehicles to take us from one destination to the next. Because I can assure you, even probably before we go for elections, although it's illegal to change parties now, but people are shifting. People are shifting because everybody wants to be in the government. You know, you want to work to go where you think you're going to benefit. So our people will be disadvantaged. Because let's say, for example, in Kilifi, we have 5 governor candidates. as you put it. We have one from UDA, we have Safina, UDA, we have Kenya Kwanza, we have Mheshimiwa Michael Tinga is for Kenya. That's the same political party, Kenya Kwanza. Then we have PA, that is affiliated to Kenya Kwanza. So we have 3 major governors who are fighting for the position with the same presidential candidate. Then we have Safina, and then of course we have ODM. And I also want to remind you, Kilifi County gave the most votes in ODM in 2017, more than Nyanza province. You can go back to statistics. And it was Governor Kingi who led the troop. So if he did it then, why can't he do it now? It's about convincing your people why you're shifting base. I was in this house, but I was chucked out because it does not belong to me. And when somebody wants to remove you, they'll start switching off the lights. The next thing they'll tell you they've hiked the rent. So you are shifted out. So for you to have your house, it means whether there's power, there's no power, you can live there, you can sit there, and you make your own decisions. So Kingi thought by having a political party, it will give the people of Kilifi a better chance to negotiate. Because remember, since historical, Kilifi's issue is land, the economy of Kilifi. The poverty index is the highest, irrespective of the resources that we have. The 10 years we've been in ODM has never helped us. Before ODM, tulikuwa watoto wa Majugolo Mahahu. We were in Kanu when the likes of Waziri Katanangala were there. They took us that direction. It never helped us. So we said, why don't we do things differently? Why don't we find a platform where we can sit in and come in with an agenda? Because as you mentioned it, when you go to a bigger political party, it is that agenda that you're going to talk. That's why we are not comfortable with our members of parliament. Let's say in Kilifi for ODM. Mheshimiwa Mwambiro is the chairman of ODM now. When he goes to parliament, he will sing Baba's song. He will not be talking for Kilifi, yet he knows Ganze, where he comes from, is the poorest in this country. There's no water, there's no food, there's hunger, there's drought, there's everything. But because he wants to be politically correct, he is going to sing the song of ODM. So he's not going to help us.
All right, Madam Hersi. Now,
yes.
Let us look at the issues that bedevil Kilifi. We have drought, which is a natural calamity as an event, but we have poverty. We have high illiteracy levels. We have unemployment, and the biggest of them being the land issue. So if you look at these issues and take a step back history, you will understand that the people of Kilifi are suffering historical and social injustice. So do you believe, as a leader born and bred in Kilifi County, that the Kenya Kwanza Alliance will be a helper and will come to help the people of Kilifi out of these problems that most of them are historical?
I agree with you. We have historical issues, but we've never had the goodwill from the government. The system has never supported whatever issues that we wanted to address. And why I'm optimistic with Kenya Kwanza is because the presidential candidate came to the grassroots level, sat down with the people and asked them, what are your issues? What do you want me to address when I become the president of this country? I think that's how I can look at it. Because by the end of the day, it's about a conversation. You know, whether it will be implemented, that's a story for another day. But once you have a discussion, it means you have a roadmap. You know where you want to go. You know what you want to achieve. And the issues of land, I also want to take it back to our leaders. As I told you, the current governor candidate for ODM in Kilifi has been cast for Ministry of Lands. The other day we were challenging him. Mungaro, how come we don't have title deeds? And he told us we are getting them in the next 2 days. He's been there for 5 years, for heaven's sake. So the issue is political goodwill. Our people sit in those positions, but they forget that time flies. And if you don't push, you will not get anything. And remember, land is a very, very sensitive matter. And it is unfortunate that historically we have been denied that asset. And if you look with Kenya Kwanza, what the presidential candidate has promised is the fact that we have a lot of absentee landlords. They will find a way of getting funding to be able to get that land, buy and settle the local people. But we still have to go back to our people, Kazungu, and educate them on the issues of selling their land. Our people get titles and they still sell it off. So sometimes we can push the blames, but there are issues that we have to deal with it ourselves. Traditionally, we've also had very issues. One main reason, I was listening to the governor speaking, and they were being told about the issues of early pregnancies, why our girls are dropping out of school. And one governor aspirant said, it's because we are poor. That's not the root cause. The root cause is about our values, is about our culture. You know, we really need to turn around, educate our girls, tell them why it's important to take them to school. I live in Mombasa, Kazungu. 3/4 of our house girls are from Kilifi County. They are very sharp, smart girls. Why can't we retain them in school? Because by the end of the day, they can support their families and bring income to their families. But because the culture says that let's educate the boys and we will use the girls to get income so that our husbands can marry other wives, we need to change those cultures. So I think there's a mixed up between leadership and also the culture of the area.
All right. Yeah. I was just looking at the numbers this morning, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and Kilifi remains one of the poorest counties. This is despite having a very rich natural resource portfolio. You've mentioned about leadership issues and how the leaders from that particular side of the country have not been really aggressive. So my question to you would be, this new crop of leaders, yourself included, what do you intend or plan to do differently so that in 2027, in the next election, we will not be speaking about the same problems that have been affecting Kilifi from 1963. In fact, if we speak about the session of paper 10 on the illiteracy, poverty and disease, it looks like it has moved to Kilifi because Kilifi has high levels of illiteracy, has high levels of poverty, and disease is also very prevalent there. So what are you, the new crop of leaders, the fresh blood of leadership in Kilifi County, what will you do differently this time round so that in 2027 will be like Kilifi does not have high poverty levels anymore?
I think we have to stay focused. We play politics too long and we forget why we are leaders. That's why I say sometimes let's get over these 2022 elections so that people can get back to the drawing board, because by the end of the day we have to deliver for the people. I think what we need to do differently is to focus on why we are in that state. Let's talk about issues of, I told you we have 3 agendas. We actually don't have, everyone talks about 10 agendas, 20 agendas. You don't need all those agendas. You just need to focus on the economy. And we look at Kilifi. We have mining. We have our cash crops, which have just, they have gone. Coconut, cashew nuts. The factory collapsed. And when you go historically, you discover there's the same leadership that were part and parcel of actually making sure the factories collapsed, because they were used to dismantle the whole whatever. So we need to stay focused. Food security. Kilifi County, we have the largest land in this country. Go to Mount Kenya region. I think somebody with the highest acres is 2 acres. We have our women, our families who have 12 acres on minimum because they're all on settlement schemes. But there is nothing on that land. We are thinking of how can we support them because they are poor. They cannot afford to have to plant. Farming is also a very expensive venture. So they need to be supported. They need to be supported with seeds, with all these resources so that they can be able. So for me, I think the leadership is going to focus on the issues of land, because land, you talked about poverty, diseases, and illiteracy. Those 3 things are intertwined. Once you solve one issue, the rest will fall in place. Because if you give me food, then I can think about going to school. You're telling the kids to go to school and they have not eaten for the last 24 hours, you're wasting their time. So I think we need to stay focused, look at our agenda. We want to sort out the economy. We have resources. But all this will fall in place if we get the right leadership. Right. That is not selfish. Because we have very selfish leaders, yeah. That's
very important. If we look at the Kilifi gubernatorial race, vis-a-vis the political alliances in Kilifi County, we have the Kenya Kwanza, and then we have the Azimio, plus others. Now I'm seeing Aisha Jumwa is a UDA candidate. We have George Kithi is a PAR candidate, and we also have Michael Tinga, who comes from Ford Kenya. All the 3 are under the Kenya Kwanza alliance. So how is that likely to play out?
If I look at it myself and try to analyze what is the game plan here, I can tell you, I think what would matter is the presidential candidates collecting all the votes from the 3 candidates. Because by the end of the day, you can have all the members of parliament and you don't have the votes for president. Because people are not voting six piece. Yes, people are voting based on who do they know in this particular thing, the particular votes. So what I'm looking at is, if Kenya Kwanza is looking for presidential votes, and Mheshimiwa Isha can get some, Mheshimiwa George Kitu will get some for him, and the other one is Michael Tinga will get for him, he's home and dry. Because by the end of the day, once he has the votes, then for him, he's added his basket. When we come down here, that is where the challenge will be. I have a feeling that the governor will win with marginal votes, because those votes will be divided. Because by the end of the day, it is two major coalitions, but with very many players. And we just put our fingers crossed that it is not ODM that will pita katikati, because by the end of the day, I think sometimes when you pull too much, you make the other person pass through. So that's a very tricky, but I'm not so sure why the party, the coalition, left it the way it is, because I think it's very risky. And but if they are looking for votes for the president, then he's okay, because everybody will bring in a chunk of votes.
All right. According to the latest voter register, Kilifi has about 588,600 or thereabout votes. Two questions about this. First of all, considering the fact that Kilifi has been an ODM zone in the last two elections, how easy or hard has it been to convince the minds of the residents to go for William Ruto this time round? And number two, how do you think the numbers will be? The 588,000, what do you think percentages Azimio will get and Kenya Kwanza will get in Kilifi?
I told you that Governor Kingi was very instrumental in delivering ODM votes in Kilifi County. And he delivered, I think, 225 or something thousand, which is even more than the stronghold of ODM, which is Nyanza. And the strategy is to go back to the people and tell them, for the last 10 years, yes, two wrongs don't make it a right. He has to own up, he made a mistake, he took his people, hoping that they were going to get from the national cake and get something. But remember, they were in opposition also, so they could not get much from the national basket. So we need to go back to the people and tell them, for the last 10 years, what are the developments you've seen here? Because all the MPs came from one political party. Senate, it was actually 110%. All the MCAs, all the Kilifi is a very unique county. And if you look at the problems that are facing Kilifi, very unique from the rest of the countries, yet they deliver to ODM. So you need to we have to be very candid with our people, that yes, we were there, but what did it bring? Because there was no returns for investment. So we need now to think, where else can we go? It's a chess game to see how we can be able to push in our agenda so that you people can move from point A to point B. So we are convincing. That's what is happening on the ground. Telling people the poverty rates are very high, our illiteracy, diseases, Kilifi has never improved. Yet, yes, we have supported this political party. Can we do something differently this time and see? Because now we have a document. We have something we can go and demand and say, we signed this memorandum. You promised us this. Can you deliver? So I think that is the way we are going to go. In your second question, you talk of how will it come out. That is a very tricky question. I think this election will be very close to call, if you ask me. Because there are those who have allegiance to ODM, because they've been there, they don't want change. The hustler narrative has really come in as a wave. And it has really attracted the people who are the grassroots, majority who are very poor. So it's going to be interesting times. I don't want to give you figures, because politics keeps changing, it's very dynamic. Tomorrow it might be a different story. Right. But I think as we speak now, it's very close.
If we speak about interests of the people of Kilifi and the agenda of what they want as stakeholders in this election, what are the coastal parties doing, or the coastal leadership doing, to ensure that, for example, we have a majority of MPs coming from coastal parties, so that at the end of the day, when they go to parliament, the agenda that they will push is not an agenda of the bigger parties that are not natives in Kilifi, but the agenda that they will push will be agenda of the people of Kilifi. So what are you, as the leadership from that side of the country, doing to ensure that when leaders go to parliament, we'll have a majority of leaders who will push the agenda of the people?
To be honest, it's about individual. I have seen leaders who are not, let me give you a practical example. Mheshimiwa Owen Bai is my member of parliament for Kilifi North. That's where I come from. He's been in ODM before he moved to the other side. I think he brought in very good bills in parliament. He's very objective. He doesn't look at himself as a political party. He looks at himself as, I have my people, I have to represent, they are poor, they need this support. I think those are the leaders we want. We want leaders who, at the back of their minds, they should know their identity. They should know they are representing their people. Because these parties are just interests. Sometimes you are told to go to party. Let's talk the issue of SGR. Up to today, me and you are so confused. We don't even know what they were trying to achieve. Because one side they're saying, oh, we are expanding and we will, Kenya, okay, the people who are thinking nationally are looking at how they can expand and how other, Naivasha was going to be made a hub, an industrial manufacturing. As we take you look at Mombasa, it's a different story. Mombasa people are telling you we lost jobs because we were depending on this. And so, if you look at the leadership, when Muhammad Ali decided to go to parliament to go and raise up this issue, all the ODM members of parliament never supported him. Why? Because now they felt like they were part of the system. Yet initially they were not in there. They don't even know what happened to SGR, if you ask me. But because politically they are now aligned on that side, they obligated to support, which is very unfortunate. Because let's not just support a party because you're thinking about me, my position. What will happen to me if I don't support them? Look at your people, because by the end of the day, parties change. You can agree with me, 2017 we didn't have Azimio, we didn't have Kenya Kwanza. 2013 I think we had TNA, URP, all these things. So these things evolve. So if your mind is stuck in ODM or in a political party that it might not be there in the next 5 years, then you're not the leader we want. We want a leader who is dynamic, who is sitting there knowing that irrespective of a political party is representing, his people should come first.
Let us now look at political strategy and the coming on board of Martha Karua as Raila Odinga's running mate in the Azimio coalition. Do you think it has any impact on how the votes in Kilifi, especially the female vote, will pan out in this election?
That's a very interesting question, especially when you mention Kilifi, because Kilifi is a case study, if you asked me. And we have very educated people. Our people are very educated, but we still need to empower them. And I am a women's rights activist. I support women leadership. And when Martha Karua came on board, trust me, most of us women were disillusioned. Especially those ones who felt like they were on the other side. Because by the end of the day, we are looking at the bottom line. What are we looking for? We know Martha Karua. Martha Karua is straight. Martha Karua believes in women positions, that women should be given opportunity. Martha Karua is anti-corruption. She believes, and historically we've seen how she has behaved in the position she's led. So to answer you, Martha Karua coming on board will make a difference. Because as I mentioned, there's no sex piece. People might vote inclined to the people they believe in down there. But when it comes to the national leadership, we really have to soul search and look at what is in it. I'm supporting 2/3 representation. The last government, it was so difficult to bring both the opposition and the government to get, it is not, but I believe now, with Martha there, she's behind this. She can be able to find a way to lobby, to bring the other guys on board, to explain to them what we want. They just need to do it right. Yeah, so it might bring a difference. As I told you, it's very dynamic, it keeps changing. Yeah.
And finally, last week we saw this story about some individuals who were rounded up in Mtwapa. They were brought to court, and then we were told they are members of the MRC. It's an active matter in court. We cannot really dwell in it so much. But as leaders, are you aware of this threat, and what are you really doing about it?
The threat is there. I also work in peace and security. I run an organization that is on women empowerment on issues of peace and security. One thing I can tell you, these things come up just before elections. and we have a strong feeling is politically instigated. It is, I mean, why now? Let's ask ourselves. You come to Mombasa, it's the same thing. We have criminal gangs in Likoni, in Kisauni, all of a sudden. When you dig deeper, you discover they are actually politically financed. Because it's all about money by the end of the day. You can't just wake up from your house and decide today you're carrying a panga and you're going here. What rights are you looking for? So yes, our people have been marginalized. We have issues of historical injustice. Our youth are disillusioned. They don't know whether they're heading to the right direction. We don't have mentors. You see, me and you, once we get our jobs, we just go to our comfort zone. Our people don't have people to look up to say, I want to be so and so. The only people they see is they want to be like Aisha, I want to be like Mungaro. They could not be the best leaders, in quotes. So we need to come out as professionals to find a way of how we can support these young people. But I have a feeling it's political, instigated. It is something that is being discussed seriously, and we hope that it's going to be maintained so that the youth are not being used to be part and parcel or to fight wars that they don't understand.
All right, finally, I want you to look at that camera and encourage young people from Kilifi and other parts of the country who might be watching you tonight.
I want to encourage the young people and the women out there. Yesterday, I was talking to some people and said they're not going to vote because nothing has changed and nothing will change. I want to tell people to be optimistic because your one vote can make a difference. You don't need to be swayed, you don't need to be paid, you don't need to be convinced by anybody. Just think, soul search, and vote with your mind. Just make sure you do the right thing. Because by the end of the day, after 2022 election, we'll have to come back to our homes, continue working, put food on the table. We also have to maintain peace. Because by the end of the day, our neighbors will still be our neighbors. Our communities, we have to live with them. This is one opportunity that is coming, is going. Let's make the right choices. Let's maintain peace. Thank you.
All right, Madam Soraya Hersi, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.